So I saw a video not too long ago that came out a few months ago by someone named Hazel Fiver. And this video, I'll put a link to it in the description, but it was about this Mandela effect surrounding Julius Caesar, right? The famous Roman ruler. And the whole Mandela effect was that the last name had changed from Ceasar to Caesar, and that blew my mind. And I started looking at my salad dressing, and that was now Caesar as well. The play from William Shakespeare, it was different now. Now, a lot of you out there might think, well, it's always been spelled Caesar. But I happen to know that it hasn't always been spelled in that way. It used to be spelled Ceasar. And I thought Hazel Fiver's video was awesome because he shows all this residual proof of it changing and how it used to be spelled. And he actually shows a movie cover that actually changed. He had both versions of the cover. He had the old version, then he had it like where it was partially changed, then he had it where it was completely changed, which it really starts to make you think that these Mandela effect changes that we're finding, it's almost like they happen in stages. You can catch them when they're first starting to happen, and then if you look 6 months later, like a lot of that residual is gone and the old way is almost completely wiped out. Another thing I notice is that with spellings and words that are changing, what you'll start to notice is like whoever's doing this is like covering their tracks a little bit because they'll put something out that says there's two spellings for this word, both are acceptable, right? And that's amazing because like I've never seen so many words with alternate spellings in my life except for the last few years when in the Mandela effect. I mean, but now all of a sudden there's tons of words that just have multiple spellings and they're all correct. That's amazing to me. But last night it occurred to me because I couldn't get this Julius Caesar thing out of my head, because I'm just so sure that it was spelled Ceasar. It was one of my favorite plays when I was a kid, so I was just very, very sure of it. I was very familiar with it. But last night, I kind of realized that, hey, I have a medical background. I was in the Navy for 5 years. I was a hospital corpsman. My last duty station was at a naval hospital, and I worked on a labor and delivery postpartum unit. So I'm very familiar with the word cesarean section. And I'm very familiar with how that was spelled, too. It was always spelled like this. But now, cesarean section is spelled like this. And more importantly, now it can be spelled both ways. Alternate spellings. It was never like that before. I wanted to dig into this cesarean section conversation deeper. So what I did was I visited my local library, looked at several books for spelling. I actually called Ohio State Labor and Delivery Department. They are experts. They know how to spell the word. They deal with it every day. And I actually called the Mayo Clinic Obstetrics and Gynecology in Rochester, Minnesota, also renowned experts on the subject, and asked them how to spell the word. And I want to give you guys my findings now. It's pretty interesting. Let's do it. So what does C-section stand for? And in case you don't know what C-section is, that's when a woman doesn't give birth the traditional way, but they instead cut an incision in her stomach, in her abdomen area, and pull the baby out that way. That's a C-section. But the C stands for cesarean section. Now, if you notice, when we look here, it's spelled Caesar-Ean. Very similar to how Julius Caesar is now spelled, right? So that's very, very weird. And if we look, there's the Wikipedia right below it, Caesarean. Very strange. Now you might think, okay, whatever, that's how you spell it. No, that's not how it was spelled. Okay. See, the thing is, guys, I have a medical background. I was in the Navy for 5 years, and I was what you call a hospital corpsman. And my last duty station was at the Naval Hospital in Pensacola, Florida. And I actually worked on a labor and delivery postpartum unit. And I've done plenty of nursing notes with this word, and it was not spelled like this back then. And I want to give you guys some evidence to move this conversation forward, because I think what we have here is really fascinating. This is a word that is being changed before our very eyes, because you see right here it being spelled this way, right? C-section, cesarean, right? Cesarean. But what's this? People also ask, why is cesarean called cesarean? It's a Latin word, and it means to cut. But look, they're spelling it the old way. The old way, okay? Right there, spelled the new way. Right there, spelled the old way, HuffPost. It's going to go way deeper than this, all right? It's going to go way deeper than this. There it is, Cleveland Clinic, guys. One of the most renowned medical facilities in the world. It's spelled the old way, right? So that's interesting. All right. So that's C-section stands for cesarean section. This was rumored to be named after Julius Caesar, aka Julius Caesar, the new way they're spelling it. Like, that was a myth. All right. And we look here, History Cooperative, and historycooperative.org is spelling it the new way. It's spelling it the new way. And supposedly it's always been spelled this way. So anyways, let's dig further deep into this. So what I did was I wanted to call the Mayo Clinic. This is the obstetrics and gynecology department at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. These guys are experts. So let's call them and see what they have to say about how to spell cesarean section.
Good morning, Mayo Clinic. This is Mike. How may I direct your call?
Hi, Mike. I'm trying to reach the Mayo Clinic obstetrics and gynecology department.
Is this regarding a pregnancy?
You know what? It's kind of an interesting thing. Actually, I'm doing some research on cesarean section, and I was trying to figure out. I'm hitting an anomaly, to be honest with you, and I was trying to go to experts on the subject.
I'll connect you over to OB.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for calling Mayo Clinic. Your call may be recorded and monitored by Mayo Clinic personnel for quality purposes. Please stay on the line, and someone will be with you momentarily. If you are calling regarding a medication refill, please contact your local pharmacy. Good morning, Mayo Clinic Obstetrics. This is Kara. How can I help you?
Hi, Kara. I have kind of an interesting question. It's kind of off the wall, so sorry if I take you by surprise. I'm doing some research on cesarean section, but I'm hitting this kind of like weird problem. I'm finding this word spelled two different ways, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out how you guys spell it there, because I thought cesarean section was spelled Cesarean, but I'm finding it everywhere Caesarean. And sorry to take your time up on this.
Okay. If you're okay to hold here, let me just verify here with our nursing team, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience in holding. Yes, so here we do spell it the C-E, S as in Sam, A-R-E-A-N.
Perfect. That's amazing. I appreciate your help. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Bye. There you have it. That's the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, who spell it the old way, as I remember it. Yeah, weird. This is a bizarre example of the Mandela effect changing something, and it almost seems like it's in mid-change. It hasn't taken hold yet. There's still a lot of instances of it being spelled the old way. Those guys are professionals. That's all they do every single day, is deal with obstetrics and gynecology. So if anyone would know, they would know. It's bizarre. Now, what I do want you guys to understand before I talk about Ohio State is that Minnesota and Ohio are both one-party states, meaning if one party of the conversation is aware that the conversation is being recorded, it's completely legal. All right. So you are allowed to record a phone conversation as long as one party is aware that it's being recorded. So just for those of you out there who kind of worry that I'm recording these conversations, I want you to understand it varies depending on where you're calling. And you have to check before you call these places. These places that I'm calling are one-party states, meaning one person needs to be aware that the conversations are being recorded. So anyways, let's go ahead and call Ohio State Labor and Delivery Care. This is in Columbus, Ohio. Let's see what they have to say about the spelling of cesarean section. Okay, so now we're calling Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, which is the Labor and Delivery Care Department at Ohio State. We're going to see what they have to say.
Hospital operator, this is Keegan.
Hi, I'm trying to reach Labor and Delivery Care.
One moment.
Center is here to... Labor and Delivery, can I help you?
Hi, I have kind of a strange question for you. I'm doing some research on cesarean section, and I am having this kind of anomaly come up with the spelling of cesarean section, and I thought I'd just go right to the experts and see how you guys spell it there. I thought it was spelled Cesarean, but I'm seeing it pop up in different places, Caesarean. Does that make sense?
Cesarean.
That's how. Okay, great. That's perfect. Hey, thanks a lot so much.
No problem.
So there you have it. We called the Mayo Clinic and we've called Ohio State Medical Center. They both spell it Cesarean. So why then is Wikipedia spelling it the other way? It's spelling it the way that everyone is spelling Caesar now. My friends, Caesar didn't used to be spelled Caesar, and cesarean section was never spelled Caesarean. These things are being changed somehow. I don't know how, I don't know why, but cesarean section is a prime example of something that is currently being changed right now as we speak. And a lot of these major medical facilities, they're not familiar with the change, right? So it's really weird. It's really bizarre when you see a change like this happening right in front of your eyes. It's really hard to deny that something is happening. So, yeah. Okay, so interesting, right? Both of these major medical facilities that are renowned experts on the subject of obstetrics and gynecology, they know how to spell cesarean section, okay? And that is how they spell cesarean section. So now what? Let me show you the paradox on Google that's happening right now, all right? If I type in cesarean section the old way, Sesarean section, here's what I get. I get a dictionary breakdown, right? The way you would see it in the dictionary, right? Spelled the old way, Cesarean section. And it's the definition, a surgical operation for delivering a child by cutting through the wall of the mother's abdomen. However, here it is right beside it, the new way, right? Cesarean, Caesarean. Cesarean section, also known as C-section or cesarean delivery, is the use of surgery to deliver babies. A cesarean section is often necessary when a vaginal delivery would put the baby or mother at risk. They're right beside each other. There's a paradox right here on Google. This is a word that's changing as we speak. By next month, by next week, we won't see probably any evidence of this spelling anymore, or very little evidence of this spelling. That's my belief. That's my belief. It's a paradox happening right here. If I look down here, I'm going to see I typed in Caesarean section, the old way up here. So not only am I going to get the dictionary right here, but I'm going to get medicineplus.gov. That's a government website spelling it the old way. The Mayo Clinic spelling it the old way. I'm going to get Medicine News Today spelling it the old way. There is so much proof out there that this word used to be spelled this way. C-section, Caesarean section. And here we get to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia has it being spelled the new way, right? Wikipedia has it being spelled the new way. Right here, Caesarean. Wikipedia's changed. Nucleus Medical Media, spelled the old way. YouTube video. CHI Health, spelled the old way. I wonder what happens if I click on one of these videos, if it's been changed.
Starts in a barber chair.
Nope, it's still spelled the old way. Right there. Caesarean delivery. Still spelled the old way right there. Still spelled the old way, guys. Interesting. All right, let's look on Amazon because one of the first things I did online to make money was I sold physical books, and funny enough, one of the first physical books that I ever sold that turned a profit on was called The Silent Knife: Cesarean Prevention and Vaginal Birth after Cesarean. So the reason why this is a book and what this is about is it's about women who want to have vaginal births after having C-sections. The book stands out to me because I sold it, man. It was one of the first books I ever turned a profit on, so I remember it very clearly. But as you can see on this cover right here, this is spelled Caesarean, right? The old way, Cesarean, the old way. And I'm telling you guys, if we go over to Amazon, we're gonna find that it's all spelled the way I remember it. Cesarean, right? It's all spelled Cesaren. So, and there's that. It's all spelled the old way. And I'm looking for any instance. There it is. There's the first instance of the new way right there. Boom. Caesarean. Right? So it's starting to change. There it is again. Right? Interesting. None of the books with actual covers are spelled that way. Only the books with these kind of like generic covers are spelled the new way, right? And you see this in the title, it's spelled the old way, but in the cover, it's spelled the new way. I believe this is something that's happening right now. It hasn't completely changed yet. And this kind of situation makes me believe that these changes happen in stages. They happen in stages, like stage 1 this, stage 2 this, I don't know. That's the way it makes me feel like, And what it makes me feel like is whoever is causing these changes is fallible, right? Whether it's supernatural or not, whoever's causing these changes is fallible. They make mistakes. And I think the changes happen in stages. That's what the data is telling me. That's what seems logical to me. I want to check Google Trends here. I kind of went in a reverse order, but let me check Google Trends. I want to show you guys something. So this is Google Trends, and we're going to look at like 15 years worth of data on these words. There's the old way, Caesarean section, the way I remember it. Here's the new way, Caesarean section, right? And this is from 2004 to present, so we're talking about like 16 years of data here. Now, if we see the old way, the way I remember it, boom, look how much popularity the old way has. Now, the new way, look at this. It's got some popularity back in 2004, then it just kind of flattens out. right? And last night when I was looking at this, I didn't understand what this popularity was from. What is this? Why is this like this up here and then it kind of flattens out? It didn't make sense to me. But if you think about it, like, this is happening in stages and things are being artificially tampered with, then something like this might make sense because this is being somehow elevated in some way. Don't know how. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe some kind of military operation, maybe some kind of advanced alien life form. I don't know who or what's doing it. But it is being, I believe it's being manipulated. It is absolutely being manipulated. And I believe within another month or so, these numbers are going to look different, right? And maybe my video will even change. Who knows? But as you're watching this video right now, I can tell you that cesarean section, CAESARIAN, is far, far below in popularity the old cesarean section, CESAREAN. Far, far below. Now, if that's not what you're seeing on the screen, then this video has changed, you know? And I know that sounds insane and crazy, but we're dealing with things that I don't understand here, right? And I'm not trying to sound crazy, but these are things that are happening that I do not understand. So it's not that I'm saying some weird supernatural thing has happened, but I'm saying something's happened that I don't understand. But it is happening, right? You know, some of the things we do today, like, 2,000 years ago, they would have thought it was magic. They would have thought it was magic. I mean, if you experience a technology that you don't understand, that's far greater than your understanding, then it's going to appear to be magic, right? And this Mandela effect that's happening, it appears to be like supernatural to me and probably to a lot of other people. It's really weird and it freaks us out. But everything that I see tells me this is being manipulated by a fallible person, right? Someone who makes mistakes. And also, the data is telling me that it leans more towards science and manipulation than just some kind of supernatural event. So I guess that's comforting in a way because it means that we still don't know when the end of days is, who knows when it is. No one will know. But yeah, it seems more like science, like some kind of technology that we don't understand. So it appears to be magic, right? That's kind of what it seems like to me. But anyways, that being said, none of this stuff is enough. Yes, I called the Mayo Clinic. Yes, I called Ohio State Labor and Delivery. Yes, we checked Google Trends. Yes, we checked Amazon, but that's not enough. I want to go to the local library. So we're going to go to the local library right here in Springfield, Ohio, and we're going to see what the books at the library say on cesarean section. How is it being spelled at the library? Okay, so here I am at my local library. Before I go in there and look this word up in a few books, I want to point out two things about cesarean section. The first one is spelling. With the Mandela effect, I've noticed that many times these Mandela affected words will have two different spellings and both of them are right. Like literally, I have never seen so many words in my life with two spellings that both are considered right. One is more popular in this area, one is more popular in this area. I've never seen that so many times, except since this Mandela effect thing has started. It's outrageous. However, with the word cesarean section, that is not the case. I'm going to go ahead and cut this to screen capture so you can see what I see when I Google cesarean versus cesarean. You're not going to find any articles about both of those words being correct. There is no double spelling for this word. I'm not saying there won't be in the future, but as of this recording, that's not a thing. There's only one way to spell cesarean section, but both of them appear to exist out there on the internet. It's very strange. Now, the other thing that I wanted to say is, you heard me saying in this video previously that what we're seeing right now is proof that whoever is doing this is fallible, meaning they make mistakes. Now, I know that some of you out there might argue that, well, what if they're just leaving clues? What if this is an act of God and, you know, he's leaving clues that he's doing this so that, you know, us true believers are aware that the end of days is upon us, or something like that. You know, what if they're leaving clues? And to that, I would say, hey, you know what? I'm just guessing like the rest of you. Maybe that is the case. Maybe someone is leaving clues for us. However, I tend to not believe that, because what I find is that these changes are happening in stages. Like, and all the proof that I see right now on cesarean section, like I see a lot of proof out there right now. You guys have seen all this residual proof that I see on cesarean section. Like in 6 months from now, none of that will be here. Like, I've seen it before where like there's a ton of residual evidence of something, and then 6 months later, like, it's just the one way. All that residual evidence is gone. It's not in existence anymore. You guys see all the evidence right now on cesarean section. You guys see that everyone's spelling it the way I told you it was spelled. Now, in 6 months from now, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it's cesarean section everywhere, and all the book covers say cesarean section, and if I called these people, they'd all say cesarean section. Like, it wouldn't surprise me one bit, because that's kind of how this thing works. And that makes me think that it's happening in stages. And that makes me think that whoever's doing it is fallible. It makes me feel like it's some kind of a technology that we just don't understand, right? So anyways, enough babbling on that. Let's head into this library and see what these books in here say. How are they spelling this word?
Okay, so I picked out 3 books here, and this is the first one. It's called Cut It Out. And if you look, you'll see this was written in 2013, and as you can see, it references the word cesarean section right there. So that's book number 1, Using It the Old Way. So this is the second book, Strategies for the C-Section Mom. And as you can see, we're going to flip through the pages. This is sort of a newer book too. And we're going to just flip through the page here. And as you can see, there's the word cesarean section spelled the old way in this book as well. These are professionally published books. This one is the Essential C-Section Guide. You can see right on the cover it's spelled the old way. And then we open it up, we're going to see the Essential C-Section Guide right there on the first page, referenced cesarean birth right there on the title page. And then if we look here on the contents page, we also see cesarean reference there, cesarean reference there. So now I have went to 3 different books at the library, all spelled the way I remember, and I'm feeling pretty confident. But I saw this Random House dictionary and I had to check it. And this is what I found. Well, I'm on the wrong page right now. So once I figure that out and turn it back, here's what I find. Don't know why I referenced the wrong page, but there is CA, and I'm acting like I don't see it, but there I find it. Boom, cesarean, spelled the new way, pertaining to Caesars of the Caesars. Then it goes on to yeah, cesarean, spelled the new way. Unreal. And this is the first instance of me finding it spelled both ways. And then I come over here and I find it spelled the old way. Now keep in mind, that first definition didn't define it as a surgical procedure. It defined it as relating to something about Caesar. So there's the old way, like I remember it. The problem is, although this one does define it as a surgical procedure, it also says, if you notice at the bottom, it references the new way of spelling it. Caesarean down there at the bottom. It actually references a couple more ways to spell it for this thing, which is really weird because this is a medical term and it's based off of a Latin word.
Okay, so here we had a word that was showing up everywhere exactly like I remember it, and then I got to that big dictionary at the library, and that was the first instance that I saw the word actually spelled both ways as they were acceptable. And you guys just heard me in that van telling you I looked up the spellings last night on the computer and there was no mention of it being spelled in various different ways. Now all of a sudden there's a big dictionary that tells me it's being spelled in various different ways. So that had me stunned. So when I got home, I looked up on the Google again to see, and what do you know? Now all of a sudden it's being spelled in different ways. Let me show you, because I also pulled out our dictionary at home, and what do you know? The dictionary at home, it's being spelled in both different ways. Amazing. I have personal history with this word. I've never known it to be spelled the other way. It's originated as a Latin word, and Latin is a dead language, and that's why it crops up in medical terminology so often, because it is a dead language. It's not evolving anymore, so it really doesn't make sense that it would be spelled in different ways. It's a dead language. There should just be one spelling, and that's important, and that's the reason why it's used for medicine, because some words are similar and they don't want to make mistakes. As far as like drug mistakes, it needs to be precise. The language needs to be precise so that things get done right. It doesn't make sense for there to be all these alternate spellings for some kind of a medical procedure. It doesn't really make sense. Anyways, let me show you guys something. When I type in cesarean versus cesarean spelling, here's what I get. The term cesarean is spelled in various accepted ways. One of the variation is the E/AE/AE together variation, which reflects American and British English spelling differences, because some sources say the procedure is named after Julius Caesar. The procedure's name is sometimes capitalized. It's just... So if we look here, we can see the term originates from Latin, sedere, to cut, by way of the interesting myth that Julius Caesar was delivered by this method, right? So there's where they're saying the term originates from. It's Latin, to cut, but the term is sedere now. So now it's like you wonder, well, has that word changed as well? Did it used to be spelled differently? I don't know. I know that I know that it doesn't make sense for Latin words to have a bunch of different spellings, and it doesn't make sense for medical procedures to have a bunch of different alternate spellings. That doesn't make sense. The whole reason they use Latin to begin with is because it is a dead language and it is not prone to change. Why do they use Latin in medicine? Latin and ancient Greek are used in science and medicine not just because these were the language of the educated in the past, but also because they are dead and not changing, so it gives you standard vocabulary. So it's very odd that there would be alternate spellings for a cesarean section. It doesn't make sense. Here I am back at my house, and I'm looking at our little personal dictionary we have here. And of course, you know, when I look it up, cesarean section, the way I remember it, but also caesarean section. Crazy, man. Crazy. It's just another example, you know? Almost like foretelling when I was in the van telling you guys, I just looked this up last night. There's no spelling, there's no occurrence of it being spelled twice. And now, what do you know? It's all over the place that it's being spelled both ways. It's like this change is happening in front of my very eyes or something. You know, I'm speechless. I don't know what to think. I don't know. Anyways, I didn't make this video because I give a crap about what I think. I know what I think. I'm interested to know what you guys think. What do you think of this cesarean section versus caesarean section spelling? Is it a Mandela effect? Am I just mistaken? Is it bad research? Is Ohio State wrong? Is the Mayo Clinic wrong? Or do they acknowledge there's two spellings? They just choose to spell it the one way. Does it make sense that a Latin word would have two different spellings when medicine chooses to use Latin because it doesn't have changes? I don't think that makes sense. Doesn't make sense at all. But who cares what I think? I want to know what you guys think. Again, I just ask that everyone is respectful to each other in my comment section. No name calling. Respect everybody's opinions. Please understand, when we're dealing with things like memory, not everyone's going to remember things the same. Don't get offended when someone else remembers something different than you. When we respect each other, we lift each other up. All right. When we disrespect each other, we discredit each other as a community. So let's stay strong as a community. Respect that things don't appear to be the way they used to be, and let's move this conversation forward. What are your opinions on this one? Let me know, guys. Peace.